Is there a chance that maybe we're facing an end time event happening right now before our very eyes and we just didn't notice? Well, according to Michael from the Council of Time, that's exactly what's happening right now. And yes, none of us noticed. All we see is that we're funding Ukraine and forking over more money, more money, more money, more money. And at the same time, we have Zelensky over here saying, I want more money. I need car like Chef Ramsay. And that's after we just sent him money. Well, I guess he didn't get to, I guess he'd like to buy his parents a second home. Maybe he wants to buy himself a fourth or fifth home. Because this is kind of what it looks like at this point. You don't have to be a scientist to look this information up pretty quickly and realize Zelensky's living pretty well. He's living pretty well for a for a president of Ukraine. I almost said he was a dictator. Either way, the fact is, we all may not know exactly what's going on over there. Now, I know there's been plenty of theories. Plenty of people have different theories of what's going on and why we're over there. You know, a big part of it has to do with the fact that people believe that if you know much about history, then you know that, Germany and Russia, they pretty much had a little coup going on for a while back in 1941. And that stretched and continued for years, okay? The connection between Germans and Russia were in Ukraine. Okay? In fact, Germany had bases set up within the territory of Ukraine. You can simply go look this up and you can find the information yourself. It's not that difficult. So the fact is, it is true, 100%, that the German military of 1941, without saying much more about who they were or what they were doing, we know who they were. We know who was leading them. 1941, okay? But did you know that Germany actually had large facilities underground with extensive amounts of hardware and artillery? Did you know that? I didn't know that. I was unaware of this. It wasn't until just a few days ago where I heard an interview with Michael from the Council of Time, and he pointed this out. Now, I don't know if you all heard this or not, but I think, in this case, for example, once again, I'm going to let you listen to what Michael at the Council of Time had to say about this, because I'd rather you hear it from the horse's mouth than to have me regurgitate what he said.
You have the international community right now. They are going to involve themselves. Here's the issue. With recent events, especially about a month and a half ago, the sentiment that nobody wanted to support the Ukraine anymore, right? That started going forward, which is a legitimate right, honestly, because it's the end game of that, right? Is simply to continue, even right now, after giving the Ukraine another, this morning, they said they need more. Okay, so they already allotted the money they received. They do need more.
Hey, Daddy, I want a golden goose.
Here we go again.
And what will continue to happen is these guys are going to need somebody to pay for everything, right? That's where they are. Because not only are we paying, but Europe is paying. Everybody is trying to hold up Ukraine. Here's the issue, though. When Putin was about to take the Ukraine, we were talking about the Ukraine, and I told you there's something in the Ukraine. Now, some people know this. If the Ukraine is lost, NATO is gone. The Ukraine used to be, now I know people know about the grain and everything, but underneath the Ukraine, right? The Germans were very good at making underground facilities, underground seaports, right? So there's a large stockpile of things down there, right? Putin knows this. He knows this. He had control of it once. And when he really became aware of what it was, he needed that back, right? He needed that back. And he will get it back. If he does not get it back, Russia is gone. He understands that. Because NATO was about to make their move. That's why he went into the Ukraine. We're talking about some pretty, Russia was known to have made the biggest nuclear weapons anybody ever saw. But not only that, there was also some hardened facilities in Russia that are located in the Ukraine. I doubt if they can get down there, right? Because Russia has this technique of putting about, I don't know, about 500 feet of concrete in tubes so nobody can breach it. Now they have drill bores or those bore systems that can go down in there without damaging the entryways to these places. They sealed up quite a few places there. So here's what's going to happen due to public interference. Um, Europe now knows that the U.S. is on a time limit to support the Ukraine, right? Europe knows this. They have no choice but to make a move because they understand what's going to happen to them if Russia gets hold of the Ukraine, right? We're past the mark of peace. We're beyond the mark of peace. But the support of Ukraine, obviously, is not going to continue because the people of the USA are not going to have it. And Europe cannot afford to continue to do that, right? They can't do that. So the only other option is to not allow Putin to accomplish, right, his military machine, which is to have an offensive against him. Now, Putin already knows this. He also understands that if NATO continues to prop up the Ukraine, he'll never get it without absolute force. And so he's preparing for an offensive. Now we're not talking about standard offensives either, right? I would suspect that tactical nuclear warheads are going to be used in short term. They'll have to do this because the stakes are too high. China has been purchasing land in and around near Russia, right? Just in case Russia falls, China's already prepared to take up the slack for world dominance. In any scenario, the USA is not being looked at as the number one force because we're beyond that threshold. This because of pride, and now that really bothers me because of pride and because of all this luster that's been flying around. They forgot about the American people. They forgot how awful this situation is. It's going to unfold either way, whether Joe Biden stays in or not. We're in trouble. We sent most of our fleet is in support. We have to support Taiwan. We do. We have to. So if anybody were to ever case and look out for our ships, they're going to find a surprise as to where they are. We have a split interest. If Europe does not step up, take up some of the slack, the tide is going to turn quickly. They do understand, right, that we're also anticipating celestial events. So a war is being planned. It's being planned. Also, right now, Iran is still talking about hitting Israel hard. The only thing that was accomplished with this strike of Iran against Israel was an exposure of what Israel and Saudi Arabia and Jordan, what their capabilities were, right? Now that they have the capabilities, they're going to match the armaments to strike this time where they can't intercept because Iran has hypersonics. They're not going to shoot down a hypersonic with the Iron Dome. Iron Dome is nullified with hypersonics, which is why they have two sets of laser systems that the U.S. has been working on, right, in combination with Israel to hurry up and get those things in position, which is why we have lasers bound on warships sitting outside of Israel, because that's the only thing that can really interfere with hypersonic. Russia likewise. How does anybody think Russia has been operating this long? That Iran has been operating? We've had sanctions after sanctions after sanctions. No matter how much damage we think those sanctions do by public news, these countries have done nothing but grow. So somebody's been lying, right? Now there are people in Congress that know about these lies, but they can't say them. If they did, it would cause too much of a ruckus, and by the time the story was straightened out, the damage would have been done. And so they really can't come out and say that. But you're looking at countries with space-based weaponry, lasers also, right? I believe that there are certain classifications that are up to 600 kilowatts now. 600 kilowatts is not good. And I know everybody thinks that the blue is going to protect them or something like that. All they have to do is go get a CO2 laser. It's called a CO2 laser with a tube. Go get anything blue you want, that laser is going to go right through it. Blue does not reflect a CO2 laser, a chemical laser. It does not. Blue reflects a low-powered diode laser. That's it. And it's only blue to white that does that. That's all it reflects. It will do nothing against a CO2 laser. A CO2 laser beam is all the entire light spectrum. So it doesn't matter what color it is. It's almost like we're really propping up a house of cards. Everybody should consider this. If we are better than these countries, why in the world are we spending money on a third party pushing them back? Why won't we do it? And we can't say it's because of international optics, right? We can't say that. Why is our economy being affected? And, why? Why are we being affected so much if we can just simply overpower them, right? These countries continue to do what they do. They continue to use propaganda in the news, right? And certain arguments that look legitimate to keep people engaged. But what's happening? They're funneling money out of the USA. That's what's happening. We're being left behind is what's happening. Because the end game, again, just in case nobody understands, in order to keep the Ukraine, somebody's going to have to continue to put money into the Ukraine. There's going to be a war so long as the Ukraine is going to be there, because Putin is never going to back down. So that means we're going to have to continue to pay for it. We can't do that. That's not feasible. It's not. They already need more assets, more money right now today. If they give the Ukraine up and Putin gets the Ukraine, Europe is finished. Europe is done for.
This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching the Confidential Report.